Share screen. And thank you for having us, Lisa, and thank you for inviting me, Mike. Mike and I work on some interesting projects using blockchain to build, and I'll tell you about them in this presentation. So blockchain and real estate. A little bit about me. My name is Erica Gemma. I am the venture director at a digital asset Bitcoin hedge fund. I write a column for Escape Artist Insiders magazine about Bitcoin, and I opened up a Bitcoin center in downtown Miami in 2018, did a lot to educate the city, including the mayor and the different chambers of commerce. I've probably taught hundreds of people about Bitcoin and helped a lot of people downloading wallets. So to start off, a couple of key concepts I want to make clear. Bitcoin versus blockchain versus cryptocurrency. A lot of times people will use these words interchangeably. They are not the same. They are completely different. They're still surrounding the technology, but they're not synonymous. So Bitcoin is the invention. It was created in 2009, and it was created because we needed a better form of money. Although 2009 is the first time that internet for the money was successful, people have been trying to create internet for the money since the 80s. Now, Bitcoin is posted as open source code. What that means is that it's posted in a public place for anybody to be able to read it. So you don't have to trust me when I say that there's only ever going to be 21 million. You don't have to trust me when I say that these transactions are occurring in this way. You can go online, double check and verify for yourself that what I'm saying is true. What's nice about this is with open source code, some of the best technologies in the world are built on open source technology. So what happened was software developers from all around the world, they saw the code of Bitcoin. They said, wow, this is incredible. This is innovative. How can we take this and use this for our own business use cases? They did that and they named it blockchain. So blockchain is the underlying technology. Bitcoin is the invention. Now, blockchain, one use case of blockchain is cryptocurrency. So you can tell already these three words are not the same. Cryptocurrency is a use case of blockchain. It's also referred to as distributed ledger technology, and it has smart contracts on top of it, which is a great innovation we're going to get into. But really, anything that involves record keeping, anything that involves a middleman is going to be disrupted. And some of the low-hanging fruit, banking, supply chain, energy management, and real estate. So first of all, with Bitcoin, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin in existence. About 18.6 of them are already in circulation. This is great because you can't have inflation. And it's just like gold, where you can't arbitrarily print more. Some of the smart money that's moving into Bitcoin, this is not a fad. I mean, Fidelity has a white paper called the Bitcoin Investment Thesis. And look at the endowments and pensions that are involved in Bitcoin. It's MIT, it's Harvard, it's Dartmouth. We got to follow the smart money. This is absolutely not a fad, and it's grown a lot over the last couple of years. Now, with Bitcoin, one of my favorite parts about it is that you don't need to own a full coin. Just like with a penny is 2 decimal places to the right. With a Bitcoin, you're 8 decimal places to the right, meaning a Bitcoin is extremely divisible. And you think about people in third world nations that they don't have access to a bank account. There's a statistic that says about 70% of the world's population doesn't have access to a bank account. Now, with just a cell phone and a Wi-Fi signal, they can participate in a global economy using Bitcoin in such small denominations that it doesn't make it worthless, because some people's currencies, a dollar isn't even worth a penny. Sorry, guys. Okay, and really quick, just the performance of Bitcoin in comparison to gold, in comparison to the S&P 500 over the last 10 years. I mean, you really see Bitcoin has completely outperformed all of these assets. And this last year alone, I think gold is actually down 4% and Bitcoin is up a little bit. I think it's 250%. And why is this important, right? Why does this matter? It matters the same reason why gold matters, the same reason why real estate matters, because you have to have your money in hard assets, especially during times of severe hyperinflation. And right now we're going through a stage like that. I mean, over here in the gray, this is how much money was printed and added to the Federal Reserve's balance sheet in 2008. And over here, we see how much money was added to the balance sheet into it because of coronavirus. I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but I am noticing the prices of everything is going up. We are going through a hyperinflation stage. They just printed $1.9 trillion this year, on track to print another 6 trillion more. And there's nothing we can do about that, but make sure that our assets are out of cash, out of the US dollar, and into goods that hold their value longer, like real estate, like gold, like Bitcoin, even like bullets. So Bitcoin is digital gold. I always like to draw Bitcoin to a parallel to just real day stuff that everyone understands. Now, the same way that with gold, you can take physical delivery of it, or you can hold paper gold, meaning you trust someone to hold it in a vault. Bitcoin is the same way, even though it's a digital asset. You can hold your Bitcoin in a way that makes it so there's no backdoor to your money. But just like if you took physical delivery of your gold and you lost it, nobody can help you. If you hold your Bitcoin in a way where there's no backdoor to your money, if you lose your private keys, you lose your password, nobody can help you. So some people like that, especially for privacy. But now really like, so we'll talk about that's Bitcoin. Now the underlying technology of blockchain, you just have to think about it as a really good coordination system. A coordination system that the world has never seen before without having to have a single person or entity behind the helm approving or disproving transactions or activity on this chain. Now, blockchain is a major disruptor for real estate. Why? So there's a couple of reasons, and I'm going to show you this slide first. So in 2018, TD Ameritrade embedded their logo into the Bitcoin blockchain. You can actually go search the Block Explorer, find TD Ameritrade's logo on this. So Bitcoin is also irreversible, meaning that anything that you want immortalized, you can embed into the Bitcoin blockchain and you can verify on this date at this time, this is what happened and this is what I entered into the information. Now, there's nothing really like this in the world, because even if you have government trust, government deeds, governments fall and rise, and they can take those away from you. So anything that has record keeping, I mean, and I just want you guys to think about this, because a lot of these different use cases for the blockchain and real estate are not actually fully developed right now. So there's a huge opportunity for someone that's interested and they really like that portion. So for real estate, blockchain really eliminates the need for middlemen and transactions. It improves trust among transactors because the blockchain is visible, so anyone can see it. It acts as a record keeper that doesn't have the issues of math being done wrong on the back end, because the math is done by computers and not humans. Like an accountant could mess up, but on the blockchain, it doesn't happen like that. It improves liquidity. It can speed up contracts, leases, and transactions, reduces fraud, and it can reduce costs and fees. But like I said, much of this innovation is presently theoretical on how it can disrupt blockchain and how blockchain can disrupt real estate as an entire industry. There's about 5 companies that are doing pretty big things right now, but those are still, startup phase type thing. Here's an example of something that's being done with blockchain. I live in Miami, and they have tokenized the SLS Lux in Brickell. So Brickell is our kind of financial district in Miami, and what they did is they took a portion of the SLS Lux. SLS is a world famous chain of hotels, and they allow people to have fractional ownership in that hotel. There's a secondary market that it's traded on instantly. But what's great about this is people who live in the SLS now have the ability to own shares in their home. So this is a product that people have attempted over the years once they figure it out that it's possible with blockchain, but this is one of the first ones that are actually successful. Now, this is something that Mike Cobb and I are working on, and I'm pretty excited to share it with you. But essentially, people use assets as collateral to tap into dollars to get some money out. So whether it's a house, whether it's a boat, whether it's gold, you can use Bitcoin just like that as collateral and get out a dollar value loan. So current collateral markets are about $20 trillion. And one thing that we're working on with ECI is we are actually building a huge oceanfront property in Belize, 203 keys. And what is the catalyst to having this built? It is Bitcoin. So we have an investor who really wants to build this hotel. He has a lot of Bitcoin. He doesn't want to sell it. So what he's done is he's given us the Bitcoin, as in my hedge fund, and we are able to give him we're able to shop this deal around, go to a lender. This lender gives us a loan in Bitcoin with a pretty significant interest rate, one that ECI couldn't afford if ECI was having to pay it directly. Us as a hedge fund, almost done. Okay, so someone lost their eyeglasses, guys. It wasn't me. Now, this lender is giving out a loan using Bitcoin as collateral, and they're giving a pretty high interest rate. Us as a fund, we can take excess of those dollars that are being given, trade them, and we're able to give ECI and Mike a reasonable interest rate that allows them to build the hotel, as well as us trading in the middle. And so, yeah, I mean, just using Bitcoin as collateral is a possibility for real estate projects. You just have to work with the right partners. The collateral industry is about a $4 billion industry. Bitcoin as collateral industry is, and it's only growing and only growing. And just about Bitcoin itself, if we're following the stock to flow model, which is this model is referenced in Fidelity's Bitcoin investment thesis. We currently see Bitcoin right about here, and Fidelity is the one that references this model, not just me, but it references Bitcoin going to $1 million in the next 4 years or so. Not financial advice though. So buying a home, some of the pros of Bitcoin is the speed of purchase, speculation on Bitcoin. You know, some people want to purchase their home and accept Bitcoin because they believe that, as this model shows, that the price of Bitcoin will go higher. A con is that, you know, also speculation on Bitcoin. Maybe the price of Bitcoin goes down. Nobody really knows. But definitely, you know, those who are innovative, those who are courageous to try something new, and they understand the value behind assets like Bitcoin and gold, this is definitely a great option for you. And, you know, a lot of times when a seller wants to sell their home in Bitcoin, they will give a discount for someone who accepts, who will pay in Bitcoin. And a little bit about me. That's my website if you guys would like to visit it. This is the opening of the Blockchain Center, and here is the mayor of Miami. We've done a lot in the city to just bring crypto there, and I hope to do more. And thanks, Mike. I'm passing it off to you.
All right. Thank you, Erica. All right, I'm gonna pick up. You know, I will tell a story of how I met Erica. You know, Erica was speaking at a conference a few years ago, and when I heard her talk about Bitcoin and blockchain for the first time, I actually understood it. Because in the past, I'd heard people talking about Bitcoin and blockchain, and it was about bits and bytes and 1,000 other pieces of technical information that I really didn't understand at all. And she explained it in such a way that I really kind of, you know, understood it, you know, at a basic level, of course, but all I really needed to understand. And I hope she did the same for you all today. Or I know it's review for me, but every time I hear it, I tend to pick up a little bit more. If you have questions about Bitcoin or blockchain, Erica is an incredible educator. She spends a tremendous amount of time. I've seen her at many conferences now. In fact, we were just together in Rapid City, South Dakota. She's leaving a day later than me, but we were up there doing some big educational programs, and she was educating on crypto and Bitcoin. So, Erica, thank you very much. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about what we're doing, but the interface here is that basically two interfaces. One is that we as an organization have been accepting crypto since 2018. We did our very first Bitcoin transaction in 2018. So we believe in it. We like it. We've transacted significantly in it now. And the other thing is this idea that Erica talked about, where people can put up Bitcoin as collateral for a loan. We're doing it in a very big way for our hotel in Belize, but many people are now leveraging, you know, smaller amounts, whether it's $50,000, $100,000, $150,000, those kinds of numbers to make a down payment on a property, or in the case of a tiny home, you know, $100,000 tiny home, they can take their Bitcoin, they can borrow against it instead of selling it, and then have those dollars then to invest in a property or product overseas. So that's the interface here, and it's very exciting, and we're really at the very beginning of it, folks. We are infancy, baby. We're not even crawling yet. We're laying on our backs, waddling around with our arms and stuff. We are so at the beginning of this. And if you're looking at crypto, Bitcoin specifically in this case, but crypto generally, as a place that you want to become a knowledgeable expert in the business and help people facilitate real estate transactions with crypto, you will be at the very front edge of this. And if you become known as the person or people who do this, word will spread. The Bitcoin community, the crypto community is a very, very tight-knit group. If they hear that you're in Arizona and you'll take crypto for a home in Chandler or wherever, or your client will, you can interface with your client, or that you can help facilitate a loan. You don't have to facilitate it. You can just tee it up, and there are organizations out there that will do that for you, the facilitation of the crypto to dollars to pay the seller in US dollars. But yet the person who's buying it has been able to take their Bitcoin or their crypto and leverage that. If you become the person or people who do that, trust me when I tell you that the Bitcoin crypto community will spread the word like wildfire that you are one of the people that they and their community would like to deal with. So great incentives to begin to do that. And again, this is something that we've been doing for a while, and we're going to kind of walk into who we are, what we're doing, and how some of your clients there may want to own property overseas, either as a crypto investment, a leveraged crypto investment, or as many of you know, just a straight dollar transaction, as we've been doing for about 25 years now. This is our 24th year of business. So we've been doing this a long time. We're developing in Belize, Nicaragua, Panama, Costa Rica. We're getting ready to roll out communities in Mexico and El Salvador as well. So again, lots of different property and product options for your clients. One of the things we like to talk about is why people are buying overseas. Global diversification, people looking for an investment property overseas that gets them outside the US dollar, outside the US real estate market. Again, diversification. You don't put all your eggs in one basket. And if all of your assets, your stocks, bonds, rental properties, your job, for example, your IRAs, all the money and physical assets you have and income producing like a job are in the United States, a lot of people understand that it might make sense to take a small part of that and diversify it outside this basket, put it in a different basket. And the global basket is certainly a pretty powerful way to do that. Path of progress. I like to look at the region of Central America, Latin America as a time machine. These countries are developing, and they're in many ways, along this path of progress, but 5 years, 10 years, 20 years behind what the US and Canada have already progressed through in terms of development. And if we know that, we can put ourselves in front of that path of progress. So a lot of folks are looking overseas for that reason. And finally, where we see a very large segment of the population is quality of life, cost of living, vacation properties, that they want to be in the tropics. They want to be overseas. And for those folks, it's all about running towards something wonderful that gives them the opportunity to live life differently, more affordably, change the scenery. And here are the reasons, right? I mean, these are the kinds of things that people are running towards, very low cost services, a maid for, $200, $250 a month, a massage for $20, right? Eating organic for pennies. I mean, literally, if you run down to whole paycheck, as I like to call it, and buy an organic tomato, it's probably $6, $8. You can have a shopping cart full of all of this fresh organic produce. In the developing world, it's all organic for that same $5 or whatever. So again, just a very, very drastic difference in terms of what people can expect from cost of living and quality of life. Medical care, it's phenomenal. There's a Johns Hopkins facility in Panama, the SEMA system in Costa Rica. Medical care in the region is phenomenal, and it's very, very affordable. We always like to talk about what people should be thinking when they're buying property overseas. And this is where you come in as realtors, as real estate professionals. You have the ability to help people make better decisions when they go overseas, do better due diligence. The thing that a lot of people fall into is this. I call it margarita madness. They go to Cancun on vacation. They're having the time of their lives, and some timeshare salesman or whatever grabs them and brings them in. And then, at the end of the week, they're going home a condo owner. I don't know about you or your clients, but I know for me and the many clients that we've served over the years, that's not how we buy real estate in the US. right? We don't go on vacation and come home with a condo, right? We get a realtor involved. We take our time. We get a title agency. I mean, there's a whole process to this due diligence, and when we can follow the same process overseas, we will make very good decisions. It's your job as a real estate professional to help your clients do that. And so the real trick and the real piece of the puzzle that you can impart to your clients is simply to slow down, right? You don't go on vacation and buy a condo. You come home, you engage, we hope they engage you as a real estate professional, as a realtor in your community, and then have them work with you to do the due diligence to own the property. In the end, it doesn't cost them anything more. The developer or the agent overseas will split their commission or fee with you. So the client pays the same thing, but you as a real estate professional can bring real value to this transaction. Because at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know. And when we go overseas, it's even worse because now we're in a foreign environment, sort of like when Dorothy, got swept up by the tornado and dropped into Oz, right? She says to Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Well, she wasn't, right? She was someplace very, very foreign where lots of things were different, right? And we know the story. So part of not knowing what we don't know is also the concept of we have to forget what we think we know. We have to forget the assumptions we bring because those too can be very, very dangerous. And I'm going to kind of wade into this idea of nuance and give you one example of where you can bring value to a transaction, significant value to an overseas transaction, even if you're not an expert on an overseas transaction, right? Or any country specifically, you can bring value to this transaction, right? So we all know the old saying, we never compare apples and oranges, right? What do we compare? Oh, we compare apples to apples. But are all apples the same thing? Not really. Obviously, they're not, right? And so nuance is important, right? Scratching the surface and digging down just a little bit gives us a much better understanding. And many people would say, I'm comparing apples to apples. But again, we know that's not always the same thing. In fact, most times it's not the same thing. So this one example, question number 4, coming out of our consumer resource guide. By the way, this is a document that you can provide to your clients. It's not a sales tool. It's a due diligence tool. It's a consumer resource guide. We have great programs. Ali Rodriguez, many of you know Ali. She works with about, 600, 700 realtors now all over the United States and Canada to help them help their clients. And the primary tool, the first tool that you can provide to your clients is this consumer resource guide. But take a look at this question. There are 15 questions in there and then a bunch of articles and other resource information for your clients. But just one question, question number 4. Check this out, right? This one has both elements of we don't know what we don't know and we got to forget what we think we know. So is the home or condominium plumbed for hot water in all the bathrooms, right? Coming out of North America, we would make an assumption. We go, duh, yeah, right? I mean, of course, that's an assumption we would make, right? Well, we don't know what we don't know. And what we don't know is that many times overseas, there is no hot water to the bathrooms. Take a look at this condo. This is a beautiful $300,000, almost $400,000 condominium. It happens to be in Costa Rica. The bathrooms are very nice. You can see the faucet there, nice faucet, 2 taps, right? But you've actually got to get down on your hands and knees to look under the sink, right? When you do that, what you see is a cold water pipe coming out of the wall with a Y splitter, okay? With a Y splitter to take cold water to both taps because you have 2 taps up top, so you want them to both have water when you turn them on, but it will always be cold because there's only one pipe coming out of the wall. Now, here's the $64,000 question, and it absolutely should cement in your mind that you bring value to an outbound transaction. Do you believe that your clients would want to know that this beautiful condominium that they're about to buy, okay, before they buy it, so would they want to know before they bought it that it only had cold water in the bathrooms? If you think your clients would want to know that before they wrote a check for $379,000, then you absolutely must know that you bring value to this outbound transaction simply by helping them ask the questions that they would never think to ask, right? So important. So the 15 questions contained in the Consumer Resource Guide follow 3 basic principles, buy what you see, own community, know the developer. I'm going to flip through these very quickly. Zoning questions. Question number 5, is there any kind of zoning? I like to say that there are ghost towns up and down the coastline of Central South America and around the Caribbean, thousands and thousands of miles of property that have been chopped up into beautiful half-acre, quarter-acre lots on the ocean, and they're all sold, but there's not a house in sight. And this is not community, because these ghost towns will stay ghost towns for decades, and have for decades, because almost nobody wants to be the first house out on that beach all by themselves. Community is very different, right? I'm sorry, zoning. That's the other thing. Zoning, right? You bought one of these half-acre lots. You built a beautiful, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 Spanish colonial home on the Pacific Ocean, Southern California, a la Southern California, and then somebody builds the Hobbit house next door, right? Or worse, they build a 6-story pink lighthouse and they turn it into an after-hours disco bar that opens at 11 o'clock every night and closes at 6 a.m. in the morning. And you would think to yourself, there's no way they could do that. Like, you can't put a disco bar right next to my house. Well, why not? Why can't you? Because, there's no zoning. They own the dirt. They're allowed to do whatever they want, right? So again, we come with assumptions of things that don't necessarily hold true. The idea of community is very different. Creating places and spaces where people can get together, people can enjoy the company of one another, turning these ghost towns into very livable, wonderful places that people can be and make new friends as they move overseas. So this is how you get your copy of the Consumer Resource Guide. Real simple. We serve at ecidevelopment.com. Just put Consumer Resource Guide in the subject line, and we'll send you a copy of it. But the other part of it is being able to give you the tools and resources to serve your clients, right? Because really, if you're going to serve somebody going overseas, you need to figure out who they are first. Well, Allie and her team have developed this incredible program, again, serving several hundred realtors now. It's over 600 realtors who are part of our affiliate program. And they have the tools to be able to identify the people who are looking for property overseas, and then serve them with tools like the Consumer Resource Guide. We always like to talk about where, in terms of the world, not just Latin America, which is where we work, but where around the world are people looking for properties overseas? Well, I mean, we picked the top 15 here, and you can see that many are in Latin America, but some are in Europe and some are in Asia. And they all appeal to a different clientele, right? Different folks, different strokes for different folks. And so being able to, you as a real estate professional, as a realtor, to be able to talk about what these 15 hotspots are, just casually, to understand that your clients may be looking for property, anywhere and everywhere. And the extent that you understand that and are able to communicate the importance of doing really good due diligence, slowing down, using the Consumer Resource Guide to ask better questions. That Consumer Resource Guide works just as well in France and Greece and Serbia up there as it does in Thailand or Singapore. Those 15 questions are universal. So no matter where your client's looking for property around the world, you'll be able to provide them with resources that help them make a better decision. So while we're talking about, locations around the world, one of the things that I think a lot of times people maybe misunderstand or maybe don't all the way think through, and it's just simply how diverse the climates of, and I'm going to use Latin America as an example, the climates of Latin America are, right? You've got cool weather, you've got hot weather, you've got dry weather, you've got humid, moist areas, right? You've got cities, you've got resorts, you've got beaches, you've got mountains, right? I mean, you've got planned communities, you've got existing infrastructure, you've got things that are coming up, right? You've got all these different elements. And when you start to mix and match those, you come up with an incredible array of property types. Again, we work throughout the region because what we want to do is be able to serve somebody who wants Pacific beaches, as well as someone who wants highland mountains, springtime all the time, or desert at the beach, right? Mexico gives you that desert at the beach kind of climate. So again, being able to serve people in many different geographies really, really is important is, again, it is different strokes for different folks. We're going to talk about Belize just for a few minutes and then leave plenty of time for question and answer. I always like to point out different countries or different parts of countries where they are on this development curve, right? And that's really what this is. This is typically called a development curve, like, in terms of real estate and industrial development. But I actually think there's a better way to describe this curve. I call it the popularity curve, right? And I look at this and I say, where would someone from the Phoenix, Arizona area, Chandler area, where would they be thinking about taking their honeymoon, right? They just got married, young couple. They're planning a honeymoon. They want to go to the tropics and stay in the Americas, right? Where are they going? Well, you know what? Lots of them are going to the Pacific coast of Costa Rica. Lots of them going to Guanacaste. There's a Four Seasons, there's a JW Marriott, there's big Westin resorts. There's all kinds of properties there that people go on their honeymoons, right? On the other end of the spectrum, there's a country, Nicaragua, where pretty sure not many people from, Phoenix area going to Nicaragua on their honeymoon, right? It's just not on their radar screen. It's not very popular. And then you've got a country like Belize, which, 20 years ago was probably somewhere down around where Nicaragua is today. Most people hadn't heard of Belize, right? Where's Belize? If you were a serious fisherman, if you were a serious diver, you knew about Belize because of the great reef system. The second longest reef in the world is right in front of Belize, right? So if you were diving, if you were fishing, you'd heard about Belize. But if you were just, someone off the street, you'd never heard of it before. Well, over the last 20 years, Belize has moved up this development curve, up this popularity curve. And what that means is that for a lot of people who are looking to enter a market before it gets super popular, like Cancun or Cabo or the Cayman Islands or Turks or BVI, Turks and Caicos, something like that, but after it's been discovered, right, which it has been, it's getting notoriety, it's news now, people know it. Belize is truly in the sweet spot of this curve. And so we're going to take a couple minutes and just kind of look at Belize specifically as a great example of a country that's, again, more popular than say Nicaragua, but not nearly as popular as Costa Rica. And again, how this development curve really works. One of the things that's driving a lot of traffic to Belize is truly the proximity. An hour and a half from Miami, 2 hours from Houston, 3 hours from Atlanta. Pre-COVID, direct flights out of LA, about 4.5 hours. Flights in and out of Canada, Chicago, Newark. So many of these flights are coming back now and are scheduled to start again this high season. But again, great, there it is. There's the picture. LA, Denver, Calgary, Toronto, Newark. Again, great connectivity to Belize. English is the official language. Common law. Let me just pause on this English common law for a minute, the English language and the English common law. Why this is important to your clients is that unlike every other country in the region, right, that are civil law and either Spanish or Portuguese is the legal language. In Belize, right, the language is English, the official language, and contracts are written in common law, which is very familiar to everyone in the United States, almost everyone in Canada. Quebec is under a civil law system, but generally common law, very familiar. It's what we're used to. Every rental contract we had, every contract we've had has been written under common law. So we're familiar with it. But the far more important point is that English is the legally binding language of that contract, right? In Spanish language, it's civil law, so it won't be as familiar. Lots of things that'll be different from what we're used to, but the binding language is Spanish. You can have an English translation, of course, and you would want one. So Belize, for so many reasons, ease of getting around, but more importantly, because what we're really talking about is a real estate transaction. Your clients are going to own a piece of property in Belize. They're going to get fee simple title. They're going to get physical title to their property, right? Well, in order to be able to read and understand those contracts to ensure that they're getting what they pay for is really peace of mind and makes Belize just so easy to do business. They've got great residency programs. Not going to get into it. If you're an investor buyer, you don't care so much about residency. But if you're a snowbird, right, if you're coming down for 6 months out of the year or a retiree or a digital nomad, then all of a sudden having residency in the country is very, very important. Belize is growing like crazy. The economy is really doing well. Tourism has been on the rise. Obviously, COVID, the numbers dropped way off, but have started to pick back up again this year. Again, airlines rescheduling, lots more people coming. Tourism, again, people know it. You have the airlift getting people here. Easy country for people to get to. And it's beautiful. Quite honestly, it's spectacular. It's not just beautiful, it's breathtaking to be able to float through caves on an inner tube, go explore and hike Mayan ruins in the jungle, the zip lining, the bird watching, the waterfalls, just all of those things. And then when you come out to the island, you've got the fishing and the diving, still world class, still a mecca for folks looking for that super high end diving and fishing opportunities. But if you don't dive, you don't fish, and you snorkel, again, the water's fairly shallow. The reef systems as little as 3-4 feet under the water. So you can actually get around, you can kayak, stand up paddleboard. All of these activities on the island are just spectacular. And then fun times. I know a few of the folks on here with us today. I saw a few names. Eureka's on here, and a few others have been to Belize and have enjoyed, the catamaran rides, the sunset cruises, with cocktails in hand. It's a great time. So anyway, the prices of real estate super affordable compared to anywhere else in the Caribbean. Again, it's a time machine. If you could go back in time 10 years and buy a condo in Cancun or 10 years ago in the Cayman Islands, you'd be really smart to do that because you would make a lot of money. Well, a country like Belize gives your clients the opportunity to go back in time and own a piece of property at a much lower price point as it climbs this popularity curve. And as we all know in real estate, location, right? It's almost always about location. A few other factors, but that's why we call it location, right? The country of Belize is 180 miles up and down and about 60, 70 miles wide. But 70% of all the tourism revenue comes from a tiny little island off the northeast coast called Ambergris Caye, and the town there is San Pedro. So again, if your clients are looking for an investment property, they probably want to be on Ambergris Caye in San Pedro because this is where 70% of all the tourist revenue for the entire country comes from. So again, this idea of putting yourself in the right location to get the goal you want. On the other hand, if your client says, look, I love Belize, I love English, I like, all the reasons, but I'm more of a jungle person. I want to live out in the jungle and no problem, because that's a lifestyle decision. It has nothing to do with tourism revenue, it has everything to do with what they want to own, their lifestyle, and how they would enjoy the home that they buy. So again, depending on their desires and their goals, different parts of the country would make sense. But for investment owners, Ambergris Caye is really about the only place that they would want to be. Again, beautiful country, just incredible people. It is truly a multicultural paradise, and really has developed that way as a country, which is pretty exciting to see. So we price things out now for many events in both U.S. dollars and Bitcoin in this case, different type. Yeah, Erica, you like that, Erica? So for folks who have crypto, who have Bitcoin, folks can own one of our Marriott branded residences. It's an oceanfront residence and resort for 10 Bitcoins. Our Best Western property, again, it's serving a different demographic. It's serving a budget traveler who's coming to Belize. But again, just under 5 Bitcoins for a beautiful property there. Dollar price about 130,000 US dollars. So again, something very, very affordable for people as a vacation property, an investment property, or we actually have people living full time in these communities as well. And again, they're there, they exist. The Bayman Gardens does, the Best Western, Marriott's in pre-development at the moment. So this is how you would actually secure a Best Western, how your clients could go through the process. There's financing available. There are loan programs with gold and precious metals or cryptocurrencies. So your clients have lots of ways to own a property in Belize with ECI. Again, we've made it very, very easy for people to own a property, and you as the real estate professional can present these types of ownership opportunities, because for a lot of people, they might want to do it, but they don't see how they're going to do it, right? That they don't know the bridge between, here and there. But that's your job. That, again, this is the value you bring to the transaction. So you use some of the tools that Allie has in the referral program. You send some stuff out. People come back. Oh, I've always wanted, buy a home in the tropics or Belize or wherever it happens to be, Panama, Costa Rica, Mexico, but they don't know how to make it happen. Again, you're the real estate professional. You can help bring that knowledge to them to see how they can get from point A to point B. And then obviously when you bring value to the transaction, you get rewarded with a nice referral fee. So by the way, this is it. And we didn't really get into how the referral program works very much. If you would like to see, it's free, by the way. You can sign up to become a referral partner with us. It costs nothing. We give you all the resources you need. And the best thing, I just did a training for a group of folks here in Denver last week, and doing another one this afternoon, a smaller group. It's so easy. It takes about 15 minutes on your end to set things up. And once you've done that, it probably takes, 4 or 5 minutes a month to maintain it. So, call it 20 minutes to get it set up, and 5 minutes a month to begin to reach out to your network so that you can find the people in your network who are thinking about property overseas, and then begin to provide the kinds of tools that they need to do better due diligence, to help them see how to move from point A to point B, to bring real value to this transaction as real estate professionals, as realtors. And again, when they transact, you'll receive a referral fee. And I always like to say this, it's just part of my business. We pay out hundreds of thousands of dollars in referral fees every year. We love to pay referral fees. And the sad reality is if there are folks in Phoenix who end up owning from us, but you haven't reached out to them, chances are, there's going to be somebody else who gets that referral check. And I'd rather be paying it to the folks who are part of our program. So please sign up for the referral program, get the tools, identify the folks who you're already serving, people in your network who want to own property overseas, so that you earn that referral fee. It's not somebody else getting the referral fee on people that you've already built the relationships with over many, many years and have served probably many times over the years. You deserve that money. And it just is so simple and easy to be a part of the program and build that referral base. All right, so Lisa, I'm going to hand it back to you. If folks have questions or about anything, Erica's here, and I didn't know what time she had to jump on that airplane, but anyway, looks like she's still with us. And yeah, and Allie and I are here as well. So Lisa, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Mike. And thank you again, Erica. We're so glad you guys spent some time with us and talking about these great resources that we have to offer for our agents who work with global clients. And if anyone has any questions, now would be a great time to unmute yourself and go ahead and feel free to ask questions.
Hey, while we're waiting, one thing that Erica didn't talk about too much, and maybe Erica, I'm going to put you on the spot if you could explain a little bit. One of the things that we're starting to see in the real estate industry is the embedding of property titles, land titles onto the blockchain for a lot of the reasons that you mentioned. I didn't prep you for this, but do you have? Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
Do you have anything you could share on that? Because I think to folks in the real estate industry, this is powerfully wonderful, and but also very new, and maybe a little bit scary if you're not familiar with the blockchain and how that works. But just expand a little bit on these titles, property titles, land titles, going on to the blockchain and what that means for the industry.
Yeah, I would say in the United States, this is not something that's really happening because, and you guys probably know this better than I, but I had a friend of mine who built from soup to nuts the entire system for titles of homes to be put on the blockchain. But then he told me that he essentially hit a wall because the people that run the title companies it's kind of like a mafia. So tried to break into that industry fully in the US and it just did not work. And so he's got everything built out, but he can't. So, I mean, I guess the question, I'll throw it back to everybody is do you guys feel like that's true, that the people that run titles in the United States, they wouldn't allow something, because the fear of blockchain is that it does actually get rid of some jobs, right? Because you no longer have to have that middleman title company in place. People will not allow blockchain to disrupt their specific industry. But I mean, yeah, so there's the possibility of that, but I would say that on a widespread basis, it's not really that adopted.
Okay.
I see there's a question in the chat room. Yvonne King, sorry, Yvonne, I went fast. I thought I was in a strict time limit, so I was trying to stay within that time limit. But sure, I'll send you my PowerPoint.
That's great. If you'll send it to me, I'll make sure they get it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and one thing that I guess I didn't talk to you about too much was accepting Bitcoin for payment for homes. I mean, in Miami, for some reason, I feel like something in Miami, but people have done this before, use Bitcoin as the form of money that they were going to accept payment for their home for. And it's pretty funny because one of my friends, I think he sold his house for like 40 Bitcoin. And this was when Bitcoin was at a price of like $17,000. And this was in 2017. And the article reads like, house in Miami, like sold for Bitcoin, parentheses, sorry about the crash. Because I know this guy very well, I know he didn't sell his coins. So now the value of his home has more than doubled because Bitcoin's at about $40,000 right now. But it's just funny because for a while he did feel like he sold his house for a loss because Bitcoin went from 17 to, we were sitting, the lowest we went was 3.
Maybe we lost Erica.
I think
There she is.
there we go. Okay.
Necessarily use exchange the dollars you have for Bitcoin.
Erica, we lost a little bit of that, but just to circle back, I mean, he took whatever 40 Bitcoins at 17, it dropped to 3. Now it's worth, whatever, 35, 40. So, and he didn't sell those coins. So obviously he's seen a nice, nice pop on that sales price, right? That was the point, I think.
Yeah, yes. And it's also that, like, if you guys, that's basically the point is that you can take advantage of speculation, but understanding that it is speculation. And I really, if people want to accept payment for their homes in Bitcoin, it's important for them to be like believers in the system, to understand why Bitcoin is valuable. And like, yeah, because if you don't, like, the thing about this guy is that the reason why he didn't sell is because he understood that this is an asset class that's going to go up in price. If you maybe don't believe in Bitcoin as that sense, then I wouldn't receive it that way, because you see it going down to 3 and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to sell before I lose all my money. If you have hands like that would sell at a low price, like, I would just not do that. But if you really like understand the use case behind Bitcoin and Austrian economics and the sound money principles behind it and the software code behind it, this is probably a good option for you. Do I see Dogecoin come up in any real estate transactions? No, nobody's going to accept Doge for real estate unless they really want to. Okay, so then I think there was another question. Where do we register for referrals? And Ali answered, we serve at ecidevelopment.com. Cool. And if Yvonne, if you have any direct questions about Bitcoin, you can feel free to ask them now. Another hour, so we're good.
I'm going on roll now, Route 39, point number 5471 with service to Chicago.
All right.
All right, yeah, well, if that's it, then if anybody doesn't have any more questions, then we will go ahead and end that there. If you do have questions that you come up with later, let me know and we'll get those over to Erica and Mike to help out with that. But anyone else last minute? All right. Well, Erica and Mike, we sure appreciate your time and your information that you've shared with us today. That was a wealth of knowledge and a lot of information. And we appreciate your time and your knowledge you've shared with all of us. Thank you so much for the presentation. And we hope you all have a fabulous day today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Good to see you.
guys.
Good to see your face, Mike. Allie, I don't see
Hey,
your face,
hey,
but good
Eureka.
to see you. How
Nice
you
to see you
doing?
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Toddle,
right.
I love it. Michael Martinez, you're my friend. All right, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys. Bye.